Hello world. So I just did a light workout day because I did running yesterday, and my muscles in my lower ribs have been really tight and sore, which is awesome. So I went in and I just did like extremely push the core workout and tried to stick to mostly aerobic, because my idea is that the circulation in my veins, my blood, I want my veins to be able to support more bloodstream or blood flow and oxygen. So to do that, you got to be more consistent as far as working like hard pushing aerobics, as it were. So I'm going to try to maybe do something every day, a light day and then a tough day, a light day and a tough day. So that went well. I did a more intensive workout than yesterday as far as my core, and then I just ran a quarter mile to cool off. What I'd like to talk about is Bitcoin. If you haven't heard of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a electronic currency. It's kind of like the dollar bill, but it's for internet use. And basically it's a brilliant idea. It's unhackable. And right now the Bitcoin is getting a bad rap because there are lots of governments and there are people who don't want it to do well, because Bitcoin is an untraceable currency. It's not controlled by any government or any one entity. It has a mesh network of a whole bunch of different computers who keep records of things. And because of that, if one computer tries to hop on the network and put out false information, the rest of the network will reject it as if it's a foreign element, and it spews it out, as it were, like, blah, get out of here. So anyway, I'm really excited about Bitcoin, but because of the bad rap of the news and all that, the stock, it has like a stock value. Basically, it's worth whatever people are willing to pay for it, just like gold or silver. So right now, it had been 2 weeks ago, it was like 200. It had gotten over $200, and right now it looks like it's trading around $80, $80 to $90. And if it didn't take so long for my payment to go in the process, it takes me over like a week. It's like 5 business days, so it takes me over a week to make a deposit to buy any Bitcoins. But if it didn't take me that long, I'd be all over that. So I'm all about this Bitcoin, and it's a long term. I would program for Bitcoin, I would work for Bitcoin, you know. I could go to cafes that accept Bitcoin as payment and buy coffee. Basically, it's just something you need to spread the word about. Encourage small mom and pop shops or anybody who owns their own business. Say, hey, would you look into accepting Bitcoin as a currency? Because it's just simply an agreed upon trade value. If you want, you can do an instant transaction where you put the same amount of cash in for the Bitcoin as they take out cash value. So there is no fluctuation in its value if it's an instant transaction. So it is just as good as cash. Okay, as far as the flaws, the security flaws, basically it itself, in the way it's designed, is secure. It's safe. But you, as the user, you are the potential flaw in the Bitcoin currency. So let's say you buy yourself a Bitcoin. You get your own hash staved in what you could call your wallet. Basically, it's in your bank account, as it were. But you could technically transfer the hash to a computer you own in your house, home, whatever. And once you do that, you have money laying out on the table, as it were. So anyone who comes along can potentially see that you have a Bitcoin hash on your computer, make a copy of it, since it is a string of numbers and characters or whatever. And what'll happen is the first one who does a financial transaction with that Bitcoin is the one who actually ends up with the rights to it. And when I say the rights to it, I mean technically they stole it, so they don't have the right to it, but the network doesn't know because it's untraceable, it's untrackable. There is no governing authority. Basically, the one who has the right hash owns it. So if you're going to keep it on your computer, you need to keep it encrypted. Use a separate encryption program so that when someone else comes along, they can't get their dirty little fingers on your money, your currency, as it were. And yeah, it's brilliant. You know, I've been noticing, it's no secret now for a lot of people, but when you start saying Bitcoin or you talk about secure networks like Tor, people are like, oh, do you know about the Silk Road? And like, I had just heard about it from one guy. When was that? Half a year ago, maybe more recent than that. Anyway, I looked it up on this online wiki, and okay, so basically the Tor network is a private network, keeping your identity anonymous online, which is good because privacy has become scarce all over the world. Government monitoring, I mean, it doesn't matter who's monitoring, really. If it's just the commercial companies, people who have interested in what products you want to buy, whoever you believe is watching, someone's watching. And if you don't believe anybody's watching, then what bush have you been hiding under? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the Silk Road. What it is it's kind of like an eBay site, but it's mostly for what you couldn't legally sell, or taboo items, products. So the idea is they set up the Silk Road and they can accept payments with Bitcoin since it's untraceable, and all of a sudden you're safe and you're secure and you could get drugs and books on anarchy or whatever. I want to say that if you're planning on doing that or thinking about doing that, that's not smart. That's pretty stupid. The reason is say if you buy a physical item, an actual product, you have to have it sent to a location. And so basically you're handing over information saying, hey, yes, I'm participating in some illegal activities and here's my address. Don't do that. Anyway. The idea is kind of brilliant, but the use is, yeah. Okay, it would be good, say, for if you want to sell Bibles to countries who wouldn't allow Bibles. And then you could negotiate some encrypted transfer of how it will get delivered. You know, if you have like a greater good, like maybe a tyrannical country doesn't know about freedom and the pursuit of happiness and all the good things that we as human beings were given value to live in freedom, the potential, and it is a tool. It can be used for good or evil. So I would recommend that someone create the tool for good. Basically, you can create a website on the Tor network, website extensions with a .onion instead of .com, .org, or .net. .onion are the sites that you can only access from within the Tor network. They remain anonymous as far as to their location. The security, possible vulnerability, weakness there is you need to set up a server for that will always be online, even with power outages, you name it. Because what happens is if you're going to try to remain anonymous with hosting a website like that, you're going to give away tails. It's like you got to have a poker face on. And if your power goes out, they say, hell, the website's down during this time. Well, what area in the world lost power during that time? It's like, oh, must be in Mexico East Coast, because there was that storm of a hurricane or something, and they're the only place that happened to lose power during that time. So you're like, they narrow it down. Anyway, so you got to be conscious of things like that. I think it's common sense, but you know, a lot of things common sense for me, but when it comes to simple things, like turning your socks right side out before you wash them, I never would have thought of that if the pastor's wife hadn't told him and then he shared it in the sermon. So yeah, common sense to one person doesn't make sense to another person. Yeah, so so anyway, for all you people who ask me like, oh, you know about the Silk Road? It's not a good idea. I mean, it's not a good idea to participate in illegal activities. Period. Don't do it. The technologies they use to do it, great technologies. They have a good purpose, and those purposes are being abused mostly for this website called the Silk Road. It is a real website. It exists, and apparently you have to pay some big fee to become a seller. But I mean, honestly, I would see the government, that's like their ideal tool. So like the government's going to be like, hey, we can use this to our advantage. So they're going to set up accounts. They're going to actually put in the money to set up a seller account, and on there you can specify what country you're from. But how can you verify that? You don't know that. The only thing on there is like you can get a seller rating, and that may be somewhat accurate, but then they can also, as an organization, set up buyers to give false reviews on the sellers. So you got all kinds of potential scenarios. Anyway, do right and risk the consequences. Don't do wrong and risk consequences, because then you're just kind of putting your neck out on a chopping block. Anyway, I've had those thoughts on my mind for some time now, because it's some great topics, great things to think about, and some people aren't really thinking about it properly. Bitcoin is good. The fact that it's been a little rocky now, it's a great time to buy. I can't wait to get on that. Silk Road is an abuse of good technologies, but it could have a potential good use as well. And I believe in the privacy, and what do I mean by that? Our liberty, our freedom. When we own a piece of land here in America, that is our right to private property, as it were. Well, if you want to have a conversation, and what do I mean by that? I think, okay, celebrities are a good example. Celebrities would love having private conversations, but there are so many possible small cameras and phones and wireless devices, and you know, they get put out and exposed a lot, and that's very unfortunate, because you know, they were created equally as human beings, not beans, and for them to not have privacy because of their celebrity status and a mean, hungry news media, that's just wrong. It is. It's some people don't have values for others. Life should be valued, and you should hold, like, some things are sacred and should be kept sacred. So allowing privacy in that, and hey, celebrities, you should definitely use secure communications and the Tor network. Well, alright. People would argue with me that its real purpose is for third world countries that censor the media so that they don't get any real truth and you only get the propaganda from the government. That's what most people would say. It's probably what I'm going to get some comments on. But I believe that you can actually, you know, you can help add by setting up a Tor repeater. There's also risks with that because you can't prove that whoever sends data out from your exit node, you can't prove that it wasn't you, really. There's been a lawsuit that happened because of that. heard about. Anyway, I can tell that later. I've talked way too long. Anyway, good things. It's a nice day, and I wish you all the best. Later.